Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today's Crazy Karen Tuesday, where we encounter Karens in the wild. Our first post comes from the Entitled People subreddit, posted by Ferrero. Neighbour says I was trying to cheat him out of my TV. I'm having my house built, but I bought a TV during the Amazon Prime days. I had it sent to my grandparents' house to store it until the house is ready. The package never arrived, and after a couple days, the picture from the delivery finally appeared. I sent it to my grandfather, who recognised it as his neighbour. He calls his neighbour, who claims that he ordered the same exact TV and didn't realise he'd opened mine. The neighbour says his is coming in the following week, and he'll give me his as it's the exact same TV. A few hours later, he says I called Amazon, who said for me to keep this TV and for you to call them so they can replace it. I tell him that my refund/replacement has already been denied multiple times, and that I was told to contact law enforcement, but I would call again. The next morning, I call Amazon, who tells me that my claim was denied again, and that I should still try and get my TV back, since I know where it is. I call the neighbour, who's now saying he'll send my TV back when he gets his in. I tell him not to, that I want my TV, even if it's opened. He's an old dude, so I was using yes sir and no sir. I was trying to be polite, as he has my very expensive TV. He hangs up and sends me a long text about how he has my TV and won't be giving it back. And I just say, to verify, you're refusing to give back my TV. He calls me back and says to stop harassing him. So I drive over to my grandfather's house, he's out of town, and I call the cops. After some back and forth phone calls with the cops calling me and the neighbour, they come out. 4 cops showed up because the dude said I'm committing fraud and cheating him out of a TV. After I showed the cops the text where he said he has my TV and the pictures of the box he sent me with my name on it and where my refund was denied, they went to talk to him. He changed his story for the 5th time to say that I already got a refund and that I'm trying to defraud Amazon. End of the day, I got my TV back and the neighbour calls my grandfather. My grandfather calls me and says that I discredited him. He meant defamation. He says that I called the cops on his neighbour and cheated him out of a TV. The neighbour is claiming that he won't get his package now because he was supposed to keep mine. This old dude was so entitled, he thought he had a right to my TV. I don't even think he ordered one in the first place now. Wow, this guy really believes in the power of finders keepers. Posted by Wicked Pascal. Non-French people telling me how to eat French food. I don't know if this counts as petty revenge, but here we go. I currently live in Paris with my partner, and we're staying here for about a month. My in-laws, they're French, this will be relevant, have an apartment in the city, so we can stay as long as we want. My partner was taking a phone call, so I went to a very touristy and popular cafe nearby to try their famous chocolate Claude and see what the hype was about. It's a croissant you dip in hot chocolate, a very popular breakfast for the French. As my order arrived, a family of 4, parents and 2 daughters, sat at the table next to me. I was tearing off a small piece of the croissant when the mum cleared her throat and said to me, hun, it's usually eaten with a knife and fork, so your fingers don't get greasy. I turned and I see all of their disapproving faces, silently judging me for being so uncultured. I said, oh, sorry, and I picked up my knife and fork. I could see my partner walking towards me, having finished his phone call, and I slowly cut my croissant with the knife and fork. My partner saw me and burst out laughing. He was like, what are you doing? So I turned innocently to the family and said, well, they told me I have to eat it with a knife and fork, so I won't look uncultured. My partner turned to them and said in a very exaggerated French accent, Madame, are you French? They all shook their heads no. He continued, we only eat croissants with our hands. No French will tell you otherwise. Please stop spreading this nonsense if you're not French. They all ate their croissants with their hands, with my partner looking over them like a proud teacher. Posted by Anne12. Karen wants her breakfast. I work at a hotel, and I'm on the graveyard shift. We have a continental breakfast from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., and my shift ends at 7 a.m., so I'm in charge of setting up the breakfast. It's not a big deal, it's a smallish hotel and a small breakfast, but we do have waffles and a couple waffle makers. Basically, guests come in, they get their batter out of a dispenser and make their waffles, so they're nice and fresh and hot. We have 2 seasons where I live, winter and construction season. We get work crews that stay at the hotel on the boss's dime, and then go out to whatever job they're working on. And we very frequently get this one crew of guys. They're great guys, they're polite and they don't leave the breakfast room in a mess, but their shift starts super early in the morning. We also get hunters who are in and out before 6, so I usually have everything set up by 5:30 for them. I say usually because I'm only human. Sometimes I'm running late. It happens. But I'm never more than 5 minutes after 6. The workers and the hunters are super chill about it. They get it and don't complain about waiting a couple extra minutes. I also feel the need to add that the foreman is amongst them, so he's eating when they are. So one day I was running a little late. I got caught up with whatever I was doing and kinda lost track of time, so I was rushing to get everything set up while the guys were patiently waiting in the lobby. In enters Karen, who sees the time, sees that breakfast isn't ready, and decides to yell at me for it, saying that the sign says that breakfast is from 6 to 9 and should be started exactly at 6. I tried to keep working while talking to her so I could get breakfast ready, but she decided that was rude and I had to stop what I was doing and stand there with her yelling at me until she ran out of breath and I could finish setting up. Karen complains to the manager and I get a verbal warning that I have to have breakfast open by 6. I was about 15 minutes behind because Karen was yelling at me. I'd have been less than 4 minutes if she'd let me fucking finish. Well, Karen was a stayover and she was in the next day before 6. The manager refunded part of her stay under guest satisfaction, and I think she was hoping to find me doing something wrong so she could get another refund. But I was on my game and I had everything set up by 5:30, like usual. She came in before the workers and saw me sitting at the front desk and sneered about me being lazy when I should be setting up breakfast. I told her that breakfast was already ready to go as the construction workers were entering. But I stood and walked over to block the doorway to the breakfast room, and I told them that I couldn't let them in yet because the manager had said I had to start breakfast at exactly 6 o'clock, so I couldn't let them in until then. As I'm saying this, I'm looking directly at Karen. Heads slowly turn, and Karen goes red, and mutters something about coming back later. She leaves, so I let the guys in. They said it was funny, and like I said, the workers have had to wait a little after 6 before, with no problem, and the foreman was there. To be clear, if I thought this stunt was going to cost them their breakfast, I never would have done it. But I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. I didn't see Karen again, so she either didn't come back, or she returned after I left. Either way, I didn't hear another word from the manager about it. You want your breakfast at 6? You're gonna get your breakfast at 6. I hate it when managers give discounts to people who abuse their staff. It only encourages that behaviour. Our next post comes from No Mathematician 6635. A lady steals from me. Joke's on her. She's been poking around for years. She lives across the street, and she takes my mail, fruit from my trees, things from my yard. I've caught her multiple times, but she seems to think she has every right. Never enough for me to take legal actions, but to be honest, I'm busy as hell these days. One day, she was by my mailbox with her dog, in her pajamas, reading a letter from my bank regarding my small car loan. Just standing there, reading glasses on, cigarette in hand, reading it. I confronted her and said opening people's mail is a crime. Not like you have the money to fight it, she laughs. I thought, fine, you want to read some mail? I'll give you enough of your own to read. There's a religious organisation nearby. Not sure if they're a cult or a legit organised religion. They leave notes and knock on doors, that type of thing. I'm always kind enough to them, so I get their propaganda in the mailbox every now and again. I used a VPN to go to their website. They had some type of questionnaire application type thing. I used a fake email, a fake name, but I used her address. But it also wanted a phone number. Her dog comes and shits on my lawn every evening. One night, I saw him out there. I gave him an unsuspecting pat and took a photo of the tag on his collar. I scurried back home and redid the application with her address and her phone number. I see them come by 4 times a week to her house now. Random times. Sometimes 7 a.m, sometimes 8 p.m, most weekends. Knocking and leaving massive packs of papers and shit in her mailbox and on the porch. I just know they're most likely calling her constantly as well. There you go, nosy neighbour. Lots of important scripture to read and keep you busy. Enjoy! Posted by Elsie459. I gave it to my other dog. I work in a shop that sells pet food, among other things. Some of our items have a guarantee where if the customer isn't satisfied, they can bring it back for a full refund. No questions. Not my policy, I don't really care. Well, about midway through my shift, a woman comes up to my till with what appears to be an empty sack of dog food. She says to me that she wants a refund on it. I look in it, and there are no joke, 4 biscuits at the bottom. I'm confused, and I say it's empty. She says it's not empty, and that she wants a refund. I get my manager at this point because I don't want to authorize it and get in trouble. The manager comes over, and I explain the situation. The manager looks in the bag and asks her, "What happened to the food?" She says, "Well, my dog didn't like it." The manager asked her if the dog didn't like the food, then why was it all empty except for a few biscuits at the bottom? Bear in mind, this is a large 5-kilo sack of biscuits. Her response? "Well, my dog didn't like it, so I gave it to my other dog." She was not happy when she didn't get her refund. Well, I guess she gave it a try. If it worked, it'd be like an infinite money loop. She'd never have to buy dog food again. She was probably thinking she was a genius. Posted by Unusual Passion 2573. Response to my mum's friend, who asked for 10% of my income. A few days ago, my mum's friend called me and told me that God had asked me to give her 10% of my income. If I obeyed the Lord, I'd be very blessed. I didn't actually answer the phone, but instead listened to my voicemail afterwards, since I just knew this call would be about money. To give a little context, I'm 30 and I've known my mum's friend since I was about 7 or 8. In all my years of knowing her, she's never had a job. Apparently God told her not to work. She thinks praying for others is her job. If she was in need, she'd go to my mum or my grandma, and they'd usually try and help her out with whatever they could. Grandmother actually helped pay for her daughter's college tuition. They've enabled her behaviour for over 2 decades. Anyway, back to the story. I have a very well-paying job, and my mum's friend knows this because my mum occasionally talks about me to her. I guess she thinks I have money to throw away. I was conflicted about whether I should just block her, or let her know that she won't be getting any of my money, and decided to do the latter. It felt so good to let her know that she won't be taking advantage of me, like she did my mum and my grandmother. I sent her this text. "Hi Karen, I received your voicemail message from a few days ago. My mum and my grandma have given you plenty of money over the years, so I won't be giving you 10% of my income. I have my own bills to pay. I would appreciate it if you don't contact me about this again. Thank you." I was expecting something savage, tearing this Karen down to the core. Her text was so polite. I don't like conflict, and I'm pretty non-confrontational. A flaw, I know, but this felt so good to get off my chest. She's been nothing but a leech for years, and it pisses me off how she tries to use God's name to legitimize her outrageous requests. Down in the comments, VexDiva80 says, "Tell her God told you to pass on the message. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods." Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.